This has been somewhat of an eye-opening experience for me because, well, it's just all recorded. You know what I'm saying? And I have to, I don't have to. I choose to. I elect to, and I think I get to go through it and check it out and see how I bump off others, how I bump off my own ideas, how I situate the camera, how I do this stuff. This is a really interesting learning process about the way, regarding the way I process in general. And so the quality I explained really goes hand in hand with, based on the scope of my site and my overall goals with my site. The quality has everything to do with personal honesty and expression, not just creative expression. Ooh, look at a pretty drawing you did. It's not just that. I'm a big fan of content. My drawings, if you see them on my site, you'll know that they're aesthetically simple. And it's very clear that I'm a big fan of content. Some of them, to me anyway, say it quite a bit. But they're simple. So for me, the content is what matters. The message is what matters. And if I share an experience, and it gets particularly complicated as the editor, as it were, to have discussions with individuals, friends and family, carry on discussions, film them, get them back to the house, check them out, and see that something is, in my mind, at that time, somewhat amiss. Do I keep it? Do I chop it? What do I do? I've chosen, as you may have seen on some of my other posts, I choose to keep. Part of it is in contract, an unwritten, unspoken, necessarily unspoken contract with the person in the discussion with me, and that's important because I do not want to. I just don't want to betray that by picking and choosing a best of. Part of the reason I don't edit is because, in fact, a large part of the reason I don't edit my stuff is because I want it to be clear to you as the viewer that this is not a best of kind of shoot. This is a conversation. I happen to be an only child, and I have no problem speaking to myself. What's wild is, if you think that's weird, you should check out what is the new rage, and that is speaking to your computer, which is essentially you in your room, but the idea is you have a proposed other. It's just very interesting, and I think this speaks a lot for how technology influences our social mores and how we go about understanding ourselves. It's legitimized essentially speaking to yourself with the understanding that there's a proposed other. I just never really minded. I just never really needed the proposed other, I suppose. It's convenient to have it, I suppose, but I mean, it is. It is. But see, this is actually quite different. And this is also in terms of. I'm going to go off the beaten track here a little bit because I do want to. This is related. In terms of quality, I have to make sure the one thing that is very important for me regarding my output in any forum, in any arena of my life, be it work. I wish I'd been a better student, but I think if I went back, I'd care more. But I really, particularly in terms of work and products, things that I can sign my name to. Not that I sign my name, obviously, but things that have my stamp or seal on them. It's very important that they be interesting and worthwhile to the people partaking in this product. And, in order for that to happen, I need to be interesting. My show, because it's pure content, is only interesting. There's no fancy camera work. There's nothing like that. So, there was a bit of a Spanish, nothing. It works out, trust me. It needs to be interesting, and if I am not interesting, the whole thing is shot, and that's not cool. So I'm forced to kind of let myself go and ramble on a bit. Stay on subject is kind of my goal these days. I look back at some of my earlier stuff, and it's it's not way off. It's just never really entirely on. It's a tricky thing. They're fun to follow, and I'm glad they're broken up because if they weren't, it'd be redonkulous. But the thing is, this is not speaking to myself, and this gets back to me wanting to do this site, wanting to do these videos. I speak to myself because it's been productive for me as a person. It helps me I need to express my ideas verbally just so I can hear them, just so I can get them lined up in words and sentences that vaguely resemble real sentences. Things need to make sense to me, and I'm a listener. I'm a listener, so I'm a huge music fan, as you might note. I'm a listener, so I need to hear it, and that's one of the main reasons I speak to myself. But this is a different dynamic, and this is where quality really comes into play. If I'm just out in the middle of Tucson, Arizona desert, where I grew up, it's just me. My friends are off other places for summer. I'm there on dirt roads walking around. The squirrels, we had squirrels, I think. Mostly it's rabbits and, it's been a long time. Scorpions, Arizona stuff. It's been a long time. What? Cicadas. A lot of cicadas during the summer. I do remember, a lot of that. I guess that's why they drowned out any other wildlife that might have possibly existed, because they were there in full force. They didn't mind my point. My point is this. They didn't mind that I didn't make much sense, because they had their own songs to sing. And so that was speaking to myself. That was truly liberating. This is a liberal, or this is a freeing experience, but it's all within the confines of what you guys will see. And based on the dynamic that I've built into my show, I know you're going to see this. I know I'm going to post this. And I know I'm going to be looking at this. And so there's this self-awareness that didn't exist, perhaps ironically, that didn't exist when I was simply speaking to myself. Now that I'm speaking to you, I'm much more self-aware. And I guess that's because speaking to myself just came naturally. And this is clearly, as we noted earlier, a somewhat contrived experience. It's contrived in the sense that it's captured. And so the reason I mention quality in this respect is because it's important for me to remain true to myself in some projected sense. Are you seeing a persona of me? Yeah, to a degree you are. Though I will say, were you to be here in person, I don't think you'd be seeing any more or any less of the persona you're perceiving now. We all have public personas. And in fact, I think we do to ourselves. It's the only way we're tangible, which is why there are some shoes you just can't see yourself wearing. There are some shirts you wouldn't be caught dead in. And it's because you see yourself in a certain way. You just do. And that hasn't changed here. I see myself in the same way that I would were I to be walking around by myself speaking to the lizards. But I'm quite aware that you're watching as well, and I realize that as someone with a YouTube presence, particularly for those of you who post your own videos, you're presenting, as I am, a persona that I trust, like. And if you're not, you might want to just consider that. I'm not saying rethink it. I'm just saying consider that you're projecting yourself in visual form, in vocal form. You're presenting what we know of you, which is quite a bit compared to, say, a letter in the mail, a pen pal. We know a whole lot more of you by way of this transmission than we ever have before. And as a result, you're reflecting more of yourself more actively. And you're giving us more to chew on.